How y'all doing? How are you doing? How you doing? My name is Mike Gonzalez. I'm your host for Lost Like Mike, a podcast about figuring everything out, sharing my life stories, and talking about things that matter to me in hopes to finding some sort of common ground. So I think I got the audio today. I know on the last episode I said that I had it going. I recorded the whole thing in mono, and I think I hit it a couple times because it skipped. And needless to say, we're going to try to do better this time. I wanted to say also that the software that I use, or the app that I use to make the graphics, I said that I wasn't going to do an advertisement, but I really meant it because I called it by the wrong name. I mean, not that anybody noticed, but I called it Canvas, and it wasn't Canvas, it's Canva. And it's a lot of fun, especially for those that are inclined to be creative and want to do different graphics and play around with templates and whatever. Again, not a sponsorship, but I figured it's the least I could do considering I called them by the wrong name. I have a history of doing that. So before we get going, I have some housekeeping issues to attend to. If you're just happening upon this conversation that I'm having with myself, welcome, and thanks for coming by. Tell your buddies, tell your friends, tell a complete stranger, see who responds. To like and subscribe. Give it a bell notification. Do whatever you feel like you want to do. No pressure. I'm not telling you. And most important, I'm really enjoying the correspondence, the emails to lostlikemike@gmail.com. Of course, I love the comments on the videos and stuff. I saw one today. But yeah, no, I like the suggestions and the relating to the, because that's what it's all about, 100%. It's about, at least, what I'm kind of contributing and taking away from this podcast is I want to be brutally honest to the extent that I can be and have it resonate with anybody. And today it resonated with one person, tomorrow maybe more, but as long as that one person heard something that I said and related, then great. And if I get a correspondence with somebody saying as much, then I can walk away feeling like, hey, I'm okay. It's not as bad as I might have thought it was. Definitely got some great feedback, some suggestions. If you're returning back again, welcome back. And I hope you're finding yourself out there on your path, wherever you are on your path to self-actualization, or I hope you're just having a good day. I apologize. I think I've been doing a lot of talking today. It's not here nor there. I work a day job, as I spoke of on the last episode, and I feel like maybe I need to drink something, or my voice is kind of doing that Peter Brady thing. So excuse me for drinking on the mic. If I could get the mic working. If not, then whatever. Ah, I'm telling you, it's the frustrating part of this whole process is that I haven't been able to fire on all cylinders and be like all aspects of the things that I'm doing work. It's frustrating. I can. It's okay though. I'm just saying, if everything linked up and everything works, I'm 100%. I uploaded episode 1 on YouTube and the video wouldn't load, right? But I loaded it with a pretty awesome looking thumbnail, and I really took my time on the art of it, and and then it didn't load with the video. It was just a thumbnail of me doing some pose or something. And I don't know where YouTube gets that. It just randomly stops the video in the middle of the video and then picks a pose that I'm doing. If it's like some kind of AI program that's like randomly choosing, but so far it's nothing too dumb, but I am very self-conscious of what it's going to pick next time. Another thing too, on the last episode and every episode, I think I've mentioned to one extent or another about growing organically, which I'm 100% about. I do want to to get on the radar of more and more people though. And so I did post on social media that I have this show. And I have to tell you, it's one of the most terrifying moments in my creative lifetime. And I've done some cool things. I mean, I've played shows for thousands of people. I've had the fortune to do those things, but somehow clicking that post button, I felt super vulnerable, like judged at the same time. But the truth is that I don't think that I've had a lot of support with the people that have responded to the posts and things, but really I think, my cousin told me this as one of the few friends that I have, but he says, hey, people don't really care as much as you think they do. Like, about you, about the things you do, about all of it, And I know he's not saying it maliciously or with any sort of negative intent, but it's it's true. The second you realize that, then it was easy, to post, because life goes on. It's 2 seconds later and everybody's, commenting on whoever birthday it was, or, whatever events going on in the immediate person's world. I am very goal oriented. I like challenging, myself. And so I do want to have a lofty goal of, more subscribers. Like, say, for example, if I said 500 subscribers, or will be our first benchmark somewhere, when we hit that goal, well, we'll do something to recognize it. But I originally said 1,000 subscribers, which is, listen, there's 7.7 billion people on the planet. Okay? That only guarantees that for everything that's out there, there's a percentage of those people that would like it. So the prospect of having 500, 1,000, 10,000 people get down with this show is not unheard of, man, or anything, you know. There, I'm sure it speaks to somebody. And so, anyway, shoot for the moon and land somewhere, you know, wherever that phrase goes, somewhere in the sky or among the stars. I don't know. Point being, I'm going to set a goal for myself. I'm not going to hit you no more. I'm sorry. How unprofessional. I just whacked the microphone like I'm boxing. So I'm going to continue to put out these episodes, get better at it. I listen to myself, and, you know, it's very difficult for me to do that. But I went on one of the podcast channels, which, by the way, you can find this podcast on Spotify for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any array of all, wherever you tune in or wherever you find your podcasts. I know that's, you know, a lot of people say find it wherever you find podcasts, but for sure, Spotify. And if you go and you listen to it on these different platforms, it really helps. If you hit the like or check it to subscribe to it or what have you, it really helps me out. So when I intended to record this episode, it was actually yesterday. And so yesterday was my birthday, y'all. So happy belated birthday to myself. Very excited. It was what it was. See, it was what we talked about previously about ceremoniously thinking of things that should be given some level of credence, right? So it's not easy to survive in this world, you know? I mean, we made it through another year. And so I'm pretty stoked. I have to be happy about it. You know, it's I do this thing with birthdays. And New Year's Eve. And I know I said that I don't really care for resolutions and saying on this particular day we're going to start to better ourselves. That's not what I'm saying. It's not where I'm going with this. Hear me out. I just like to... It started on New Year's Eve many years ago, where coming up on midnight, I wanted to know that all my friends and family were okay, that they were, you know, safe and to the furthest extent they could be. I wanted some change in my pocket, a clean and orderly house, and a car, clean, you know, and to be working a job or whatever. Anyway, just a couple of boxes to check off. And I wanted to bring the new year in with that. And I'd do the same thing on my birthday, where it's not like a superstition, but it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like in a moment time, or in a flash of a moment, that everything's okay. This year was no different. I did have my cardiologist appointment on my birthday, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Actually, let's jump right in. So, my doctor's office didn't send over the EKG, which they really needed. So my cardiologist was like, I really need that EKG to see what they're talking about. And then, so he does one on me right then and there. He even said, you know what? I'm not going to charge you. Let's go. I need to see what's going on with you. All right. So his exact words when he looked at the paper was, yeah, definitely something's going on here, right? I mean, no, I don't think that should ever be allowed to be that, like, absent, like, not aware of your audience, right? I'm literally sitting right there. Like, that couldn't be misinterpreted in some, you know what I mean? Or not, doesn't qualify for some clarification. Anyway, but I went in there with the intention of wanting to have a clean bill of health or a plan to treat whatever's going on. I wanted permission to exercise fully, and I didn't get any of that because there's other batteries of tests that are coming in the next month or whatever. But before I left, he said, it can be nothing. And he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, I don't think it's anything, but it could be a lot of things, So before I can tell you that you can exercise and go crazy with it, let's just do some stress tests and calcium tests or whatever they're called, plaque tests. I know there's some medical people out there that are like, okay, I know what's happening. But my primary doctor said that my sleep study came back and that I have mild sleep apnea. So she does not think that I should use a Darth Vader mask. And she said the new ones are cool anyway. They like go up your nose and wouldn't be a big deal, but I don't need it. She just said lose some weight, and she said get out there and exercise. So anyway, check out my shirt. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. This is the unlicensed merchandise right here that I'm wearing for you. We're testing it out, doing some image. Okay, well, of course. So this is a podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So let me start off by saying it's a light gray shirt with the words "Find Yourself, Lost Like Mike" written on the front in typewriter font. Not available in stores, ladies and gentlemen. This is a one-off. This is just for me. Anyway, but so I'm going to be back on the workout plan. I'm going to be back on exercising. Slowly kind of getting myself moving and motivated. And by all accounts, everybody says that, dropping some of those pounds will have a tremendous impact on my health and improvement on my numbers. So I can let you know that that's the plan. What I'm going to do is what works for me. It's like what I was telling my wife, whatever works for you, whatever speaks to you, whatever is going to be what you're going to do moving forward consistently. There's no universal solution that's cookie cutter and everybody can do. I would just encourage everybody to try to learn about their options and figure something out. So for me, it's calorie counting, which is not the most fun. But, and my doctor says fewer sugars and simple carbohydrates. So that's me, but I really enjoy bike riding and boxing and circuit training. So I'm going to do those things because I enjoy them. But if you like hiking and long walks on the beach, Anyway, just find what makes you happy. My next focus is going to be 100% on mental health, and I think this is helping. I haven't even scratched the surface of the things that I want to talk about, but already feeling more comfortable. It's weird because a lot of times I feel like I'm just talking to the universe or to the air, and I don't really feel like, except for that moment when I was going to post it on the internet, as far as the social media. But when I'm talking to the camera, I feel like I'm just getting things off my chest and letting them go into the ether. Like I'm not, I don't really feel like I'm being judged in that moment, which is good. If I can continue to trick myself. I mean, I edited a few things on the last episode that just made me feel like, well, are you pandering and making jokes to make jokes, I really don't think that. If I ever feel like it's not authentic, I try to delete it. And believe me, there's a lot of times when I'm talking and I'm like saying something and I think I'm saying the wrong word, or like, could I have any more dead space between those two words? And I'll try to edit a little something, but there's a lot of times where I'll say the wrong word or say something that my first impulse is that I'm embarrassing myself, and I'll say just leave it in there because it's got to be a bit raw, because it's like people can see right through it when it's not, right? So I like the idea of having a speed round where I just bring up the topic and I start to talk about it. And apparently that's something that resonates as well, because we did have some topics brought up to talk about. And so this is the part of the show where I embrace the random and force myself to say whatever I feel based on some notes that I have written down during the week and then subjects given to me by listeners. So my jump off point is being a bad friend. So how am I a bad friend? Let me count the ways. I'm pretty trash when it comes to being a friend. I've always been. Not intentionally. I mean, when you're young and the world revolves around, at least it did for me, in my little mind, right? My little tunnel of vision of what existed. I think it's like that for a lot of young people. They don't know any better. But for me, I think that it was equally that and equally not really knowing how to maintain quality friendships. I have one friend in particular that kind of showed me the right way. It's kind of a marvel to witness when you see somebody acting on those moments of caring. Okay, because here's how it goes. For somebody like myself, I do think of other people. I don't really think it's being like this narcissist who believe me, I've had narcissistic tendencies. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying with regard to friends, I've laid awake at night thinking about friends that are suffering from illnesses or struggling with addiction or having some sort of issue in their life, and I've thought about them, try to think of solutions. I've prayed for them. I never knew how to reach out to them. Never. During the when the pandemic first started, I went down my contact list and I just started calling people to check up on them. And their authentic shock at the fact that I was calling them, not like, oh, hey, how you doing? We're doing all right too. But the authentic shock in their voice broke my heart. Because it shouldn't be that random, or that, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be such a foreign act for me to call you that, it tells you something about the frequency by which you do something which should be automatic, right? I missed my friend's wedding. Number one, I don't get invited to a lot of weddings. I mean, I didn't get invited to a couple that I should have in my mind, but this friend invited me to his wedding, and he even followed up and tried to get me to go to the wedding at a separate point. And, there were some hurdles there, but no excuse can be good enough to justify not doing that. That's like a milestone in somebody's life. If you're not there for them for the big things, right? Then you're that guy, right? Who isn't really that great of a friend. And when you have obligations, if a family, kids, a wife, whatever, a job, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you have your reasons why it's not always easy to do these things, but you have to ask yourself, what would you do for somebody that that you really care about? I mean, not to say that you don't care about this friend. I'm saying unconditionally, no doubt about it, your mother, your son or daughter. What would you do for them? If you wouldn't say, yeah, but can't find a babysitter, man. So sorry. No, it's just. Anyway, I beat myself up a lot about it. I beat myself about a lot of things, but today somebody said to me, and it was just today, they said, I'm probably not. I probably am not as close to you as you are to me. And he was trying to say that he feels that I'm close to him or cares about me like I'm close to him. But he doesn't feel that from me. He didn't know that saying that to me, would resonate in the way that it did, because I just had this topic on my mind. But that's my fault. That individual does not know how much I care about him, right? And all these people that came into my life and spent time with me and were willing to invest themselves in a friendship with me and didn't feel like it was reciprocated, that's on me too. So part of the friend situation, or like me not really keeping up with friends, is that I've avoided social media for a very long time. And ironically, I started off with having the argument way back that the social media platforms were an impersonal way to communicate with people in your life. Meaning, like, I saw a value of being face to face with people. And so I just felt like there was something artificial about doing things on the social media platforms like Facebook or Twitter. I felt like there was not only the anonymity of Twitter. A lot of times, I mean, it used to be that trolls only lived under bridges, you know what I mean? But and it's in a lot of ways, like on my, I watch all these people wishing other people happy birthday online, and I had mixed feelings about it on my part, because like another friend of mine, or a friend of mine, wrote me a text message, and one little part of it was happy birthday, and the rest was kind words, and they thought it out. It was very sweet. But I really do appreciate anybody that wished me happy birthday online. And here's the thing. I watch friends and acquaintances and people from a distance, and they'll take out a friend for drinks on their birthday, or we're all getting together at such and such bar, or for so-and-so's birthday. And so I should preface this by saying this isn't a pity party. They should put that at the beginning of the show. This isn't a pity party. And it really isn't. I'm just saying that I feel on this, in the truest sense of the term, sincerely, I feel that I've earned that. And I wish, and my personal goal over the next couple of years is to earn the right to have friends that wish to do that with me. You know what I mean? And I think that takes effort on my part outwardly to, because you only get what you give. You reap what you sow, kind of thing. So, but I've learned over the past couple of years that I can certainly be a better friend. And there are certain few that know me, that know that I've tried. And I am trying to be a better friend. Well, that was interesting, to say the least. What does get me about the Facebook phenomena, or the social media phenomena, is people that will say things, like, don't try to show them in death that you cared about them when you weren't there for them in life, right? Like, it's transparent. It's just awful. And I don't know, it sounds bitter for me to say that, but there are sometimes I read these things, and it's like virtue signaling that, I've had a loss in my life because this person passed away, and they want to hear, like, people say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You had that loss. Let me give you some of my energy. And for me, it's upsetting, because I watched, while they were alive, be ignored and shunned, and not nobody being there for them when they needed somebody. And now in death, they're somebody that they can exploit for attention, and yuck. Anyway, I don't mean to come off bitter or sound like hateful in this moment. I really don't want to bring negativity to this podcast, so I'm going to drop it right there. It came up. It was in my embrace the random section, so I'm going to leave that where it is. Okay. Let's digress. Let's get past this. Okay. So let's recap. Be a better friend. Earn some good birthday wishes. Let's go. Invite me out for a drink every now and then. I don't really drink that much, but any longer. All right. I think that we all fight for this. We teeter on this balance of look at me and let me be. I think everybody has some sort of internal battle between the two, right? So take me, for example, and this podcast. I have a bit of awkwardness when it comes to putting myself out there in front of others. I know that in order to feel connected to people, I need to make myself vulnerable and put myself out there. And so I'm in this back and forth where sometimes I feel like I just want to be left alone, and I don't want to see or interact with people. And other times I am frustrated as to why I can't make more people see the project that I'm working on. So, I mean, not really frustrated, but I mean, there's obviously a point where I'm wanting more people to see something, right? So there's a paradox there. And I think people do it all the time. Like I remember seeing Kurt Cobain talk about not wanting to be famous and, and thinking, well, there's an easy way to do that. Just don't release your records or don't go touring. But the bigger point was that there's parts of him that were compelled to do those things, that enjoyed doing those things, and was battling the opposite of, not wanting people to look at him, but look at me. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of times people are dealing with that in their own ways, and do with that information what you will, because it just popped in my head right now and I felt like saying it. That's funny. So I'll tell you a story. At least once a day, I have these episodes of panic. Like I deal with one form or another of an anxiety attack, right? It comes in a wave. Sometimes it's subtle, like you feel a little sweaty or like a little, and it just kind of overwhelms you. And there's techniques you use or what have you, breathing. There's a really good some tools like box breathing, where you take a breath in for 2 seconds, and then you hold it for 2 seconds, and then you let it out for 2 seconds, and then you wait 2 seconds, you bring it, you get the picture. And there's all these coping mechanisms that you exercise on the daily. I do, anyway. And a lot of it as I get older, it just makes it more acute, but it has a lot to do with like laying there in the cardiologist's office, right? I'm laying on this hospital bed, and I'm looking up at this light fixture, and I've got all these wires hooked up all around my chest and stomach, and thinking how surreal, like it felt like, is this what it looks like, when everything's over and you have nothing, you're done. Is this is this a simulation of what that would feel like, or what the view would be, or absurd thoughts that I call them, well, they're invasive thoughts, right? They're intrusive thoughts. The thoughts that pop in your head and you didn't give them permission, they just show up. And there it is, right? But sometimes it's overwhelming. But, okay, so my cousin, he comes out we play shows every week, and he comes out and he says, hey, you're always talking about how you've got these anxieties or whatever. You always seem like you're all pent up, and is the way he puts it. You always look like you're all bottled up, and he says, I've got this cube, it's an edible. And I'm like, no, dude, no, I'm not about that. I'm not feeling that right now. I don't. And he's like, no. It's just going to help you with your anxiety. It won't make you feel loopy, or it won't be like a high. It'll just be subtle. It'll take away your anxiety. That's, it's specifically made for anxiety. And he's like, look, it's a half of one. So it's one. It's going to definitely make sure that you're not anxious, but it's half. So it's like we're feeling it out and seeing what it does for you. So I said, let's go. Sometimes it gets to where I just as soon try anything to try to, to see if I can squash it. All right, so I took it. It's like an orange square gummy bear. Like, and what am I drunk? I'm like falling over here. For those of you listening to the podcast, I just slipped off my chair. I'll probably edit it out, because I also took a drink and I'm eating ice like a savage. All right. Long story short, it was fantastic. Sign me up, I said. This is great. I felt like everything was just chill. Everything was relaxed. I was playing the guitar, and I felt like I had 2 days between every note. Like, I could think about what I was going to play, and I could just sit there and live in the moment, and it was very relaxed. So the next week, we're at the next show, and he says, hey, I got you another one of those gummy bears. And I was like, whatever I had last time, I want more of that. I'll take 2, please. No. But I said, all right, it was orange. It was the same color, everything. I said, skip it. I don't want to have half. Give me the whole one. All right. We set up the equipment. I took it. I set up the equipment. And I was getting ready for the show to start, or the time for the show to start. And all of a sudden, I'm realizing that something's off. and the music, it just sounds like like everything's like a marching band going by, and the lights look like they're strobing a little bit in a weird kind of way, and I'm like, something's wrong, dude. And I said, I leaned over to him and I was like, something's wrong, man. Something's happening, man. It was bad. We play for 4 hours every time that we play. We're contracted to play for the 4 hours. So, I mean, in the middle of songs, I would stop singing and my hands would go to the sides when I was playing guitar, and I would just stop playing, and I would look over at him, and he would be like angling his face, like flicking his face towards the microphone, like, the song's not over, man. Like, keep singing. Like, don't stop. And I did that, I think, for every song for the entire night. And like, to the point where we started playing and we got a little bit into the show, and I started acting like that. And we took a break. And then I was like, man, and he's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, you are high. And I was like, yes, man. I'm super high, man. Like, I am stoned high. And we got back on stage, and like he said, I mean, like, right away I was like, can we take a break, man? I don't feel right. Like, I need to sit down. And he's like, we just started, man. And then the manager came over to the venue, and I went over to him, and I was like, to my cousin, and I was like, I think he knows. I think he figured it out. I think they know I'm high, dude. They know I'm. I was freaking out. I was panicking. Like, it was the longest show that I have ever played. I felt like everything was 10 years long. Whew. And then I swear I saw a couple that I had seen the previous time. I think I made this part totally up in my mind, but I was staring at them and just watching them judge me. And I was like, they know, man. They know. And then they left, and I was like, they couldn't even watch me do this, you know? It was bad. So I haven't had an edible since. And it bugs me, man. I mean, not that I want edibles and I want whatever, but like, I was down to try Xanax, and then they said that it melts your brain. So I'm like, well, shit, there's no hope. But there is hope, everybody. You know, so far, this is working in a lot of ways, you know, talking it out and getting through some of these things. And, you know, I need to feel as if it's a symbiotic relationship. So, you know, I do encourage those emails and correspondence with the listener. Because, you know, part of it is feeling like when you hear somebody else say that they experience similar things and they're going through similar things, in my mind's eye, because a lot of it feels scary or daunting when you feel like this is unique to you. I used to have a hard time articulating some of the things that were going on in my mind. It was very hard for me to explain it. And people that I would share with, people that I was close to, would undoubtedly say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand. And it would terrify me and make matters 10 times worse and make me go more and more inside. I wrote this song once about taking the war that's going on inside your mind and taking it out. What I was trying to say was this very concept, because it's nothing short of a battle going on in your mind of feeling terrified and questioning your sanity and questioning whether or not this is only happening to you, or is this and desperately wanting for somebody to say, it's okay, man, I know what you're going through. I go through that too. So if you're going through something and you hear anything that I'm saying that you have gone through or are going through, you're not by yourself. I walk around every day thinking that somebody's going to figure out that I'm faking it till I make it, that I'm hanging on by a thread, that I don't have the confidence that I portray, that I am terrified of mortality, and how I feel like a lot of times I'm walking around and that the world is a TV show, and when different characters die, that's what it is. But then when I die, the TV show is going to end. How crazy does that sound? But that exact line of thinking, that verbiage, goes through my mind every day, randomly, every so often. And as every day passes further, and I feel like if it's not threat of some global war or environmental catastrophe or my heart giving out or whatever threat it is of the day, an active shooter or terrorist threat, whatever it is, I'm terrified of things that I can't control. And I find solace, or I find hope, in the weirdest of places. Like I was at a dollar store, and there was I'm just walking, trying to keep it together, and I noticed a notebook, because I love school supplies, I love office supplies. I have a strange, weird fetish where I'm compelled to purchase them, whatever. That's a story for another day. But I see this notebook, and the Serenity Prayer is on it. And I could always remember the part of the Serenity Prayer that says that know the things I can control, right? To change the things I can control. Because I'm real big about control, to my own detriment. But that's why I fear flying, and up until recently had an irrational fear of elevators. But anyway, here's this Serenity Prayer just sitting there on this notebook cover, and I read the first part of it, to give serenity with the things you can't control, like to know that, like, Give me peace, basically. Like, and to know the difference between the things that you can and cannot control. Right? And the wisdom to know the difference is what it says. But anyway. But reading that first part, reminding myself that there are things that I can't control. So don't worry about them. Don't consume yourself with them, because it's not up to me if it all ends for me today or if it doesn't. I can't control that. You can't control that. So don't try to. Don't allow it to occupy as much real estate as it does. And it's probably like one of the reoccurring themes of this podcast is going to be reminding myself and the world that, I mean, there's definitely things we can control. And we'll get into those things as best we can. I don't think we're doing enough, for example, for the environment. They talk about the Geneva Convention or like these different, it's not even the right one. And it's not coming to me right now. It'll come to me later, but the big conference where all the countries get together. And I see it like say, for example, you go outside in your backyard, right? And you have a water hose with an irrigation system hooked up, right? So the sprinkler system's just on full blast and just shooting water back and forth, right? And you open the back door. This happened to me recently. And the sprinkler had been on for hours and hours, right? And this is my analogy. So you open the back door and you see that the backyard's flooded and it's just going back and forth. But instead of reaching over and shutting off the faucet, you have to have a committee sit down and talk about a plan for shutting off that faucet and have to split the tasks up involved with shutting off that faucet and the appropriate amount of time that's going to take to get between each of those steps. And we'll reconvene and talk about that again in next year. And meanwhile, this bad boy's just going and flooding and more flooding. That's what I feel like on a lot of the different subject matter. Like, I feel like we know the steps that need to be taken. We know the issues that exist. And there's just so much conversation that has to go on because of profit margins and with not wanting to lose the yearly bonuses. It's just insanity to me. Yeah, definitely had a fun speed round that time. Just kind of all over the place. So if you kept up and if you were joining me all over the place, then congratulations. I appreciate you doing that. And I hope some of those random thoughts resonated with you. This was an interesting episode. So we'll have to see what this one turns out like. But I appreciate everybody hanging out. And please like and subscribe if you're so inclined. But most importantly, feel free to reach out to me at lostlikemike@gmail.com. Let me know how you're doing and open up whatever form of communication you would like to. And take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.